This is Lazyfire, and welcome to the Hate the Player podcast. We're on episode 4, I hope.
The good episodes.
I am joined, as per usual, by Arnold. No? Okay, you don't care. And
That's so apathetic, Jesus Christ.
I'm here, whatever. And we also have Three Toes.
Hi.
Hi. So
we're sad the beta's over.
Yeah, a lot of people are, and at the same time, everyone's really pissed off that the beta happened. So, I don't know.
Explain that. I haven't been too in tune with the goings on with the beta. Why are they pissed off that it happened?
Because it was not Bad Company 2. It was so bad. People were coming in, so I don't know. You didn't pay a lot of attention to the beta. We talked about this before we started. You played a little bit on the console.
Right.
But for people who played it on the PC, like the mixes of hardware that you can have on a PC, people had like Pentium 2 processors and shit, and they're like, why? Yeah, it was bad.
Why can't my 486 run this?
Yeah. It's like, my PC, I'm running XP Service Pack 2, and for some reason, this game isn't giving me 60 frames per second in Ultra. What the fuck, game? And just like stuff like that, where they're just the words. This is an unfinished beta version of one map with not all the weapons in it, and people are like, "Well, this is a recent build of the game." If this is a recent build of the game, they haven't worked on the other 9 maps at all. Like, holy shit! So, what the deal with the beta? Not to get too far into it, which will happen anyways, is that they took the E3 alpha demo they had, and they forked that over from the main production and built the beta. And the one the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 got was like 6 to 8 weeks old. Like, they had to go through certification processes like anyone does for anything that comes out on Xbox Live or PSN. The one, the PC version, the PC version that came out was like 2 weeks old or something like that. So when DICE started saying, no, this is a recent build, they meant it's a recent build of the alpha that was forked over from the E3, forked over from the alpha from the E3 demo, and then enhanced on, and things were changed around in it. It's not optimized. It's not really built to go into anything but the PCs that we developed this game on, which were like 2 Titans SLI'd with a 8-core AMD processor or whatever the fuck it was.
Dude, I was running on Ultra, and I had 60 frames all the time, so...
Yeah,
but I'm on Windows 8. Apparently that was a big issue.
Yes, and the game, for some reason, people saw the phrase works best on Windows 8, and they're, it's my Microsoft propaganda. No, it worked best on Windows 8. You should really get Windows 8 if you want to play that game.
Windows 8 has a lot of back-end shit, and it handles multi-core much better.
Yeah, I checked my heat and everything like that, because people were complaining that their computers were busting out to like 100 degrees Celsius, and wow, holy shit, mine was like 43 at the height of work, and I had 5 different programs running, including recording games and the game going. It was just, if you had Windows 8, you had a relatively modern PC, and you weren't an idiot with all the other stuff on your PC, you could probably run that just fine. But people were coming into threads and into Reddit and posting things that were like, I have AMD's Phenom processor. It's like a 4-core processor, and I've got like a 482 or something stupid. Why can't I run this game like I did Battlefield 3? Because it's not a game that's been out for 2 years. It's an unfinished beta that's not been optimized. That's why it doesn't look like Battlefield 3.
Exactly.
That concept completely flew over so many people's heads. It was ridiculous.
Dude, and I was just playing Battlefield 3 before I got on here, and god damn, that game just looks amazing.
Yeah, I think you and I switching over to PC, seeing what it looks like on that versus what it looks like on the consoles is...
oh, dude. I remember the Battlefield 3 beta on console. It convinced me not to get the game because it was Metro, and it looked like shit. There was no high-res packs. I'm like, this game looks like shit. And then there were a few people that managed to finally talk me into it, and 800 hours later. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's what happens.
Well, shocker, I'm sure, but the BF4 beta did not look better on the console than the BF3 beta did. It looked bad. Like,
Yeah.
missing textures, or rather just unfinished textures, just very flat, very dull. Um, not pretty at all. And I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it to be, and I wasn't planning on buying it on current gen consoles anyway. But yeah, they weren't doing themselves any favors by releasing that beta on the current gen consoles.
Yeah, and one of the things that I took umbrage with when people were talking about their current gen experiences was the fact that DICE decided to not only make the map smaller, and it was already kind of a small map for Conquest, for large Conquest. They made the map smaller. They took out some vehicles, and it sounds like they changed out your attack helis for little birds.
Right,
And
we had little birds in the console map.
I don't understand why they did that. That doesn't make any sense to me. They took out 2 capture points, so they shortened the entire thing up. It sounds like they didn't change the boundaries though, so people were still getting behind there's people spawns and grabbing tanks from spawn and driving them into the OK zone. Like,
Maybe I didn't really play it enough to experience any of that. It actually took a good while for to find any good matchmaking. I ended up having to open up the server browser and find a populated server myself, because otherwise it kept throwing me into just empty servers.
yeah, I think that's the nice thing about Battlelog on the PC, is that it just basically is a big server browser that's also all your stuff for Battlefield. So if you want to jump into a game, you click on the server you want to play on, it launches Battlefield 4, you jump in there, you get out of that server, you change some of your settings, and you can go right back into another one. Or you can hit backspace and get the Battlelog screen.
I have to say, I really enjoyed the obliteration game mode they put in there.
Me too. I like that a lot.
The one thing I didn't like is I don't like having transport choppers in it. Because it really makes it, if you get a lucky pass with a chopper, I mean, you win. I really wish it was just all ground vehicles.
Well, I think the AA guns, or the AA tanks that they put into that mode, that was probably the hard counter to a chopper
Right.
in that case. But yeah, it feels like if you didn't have someone who's focusing on helicopters in the AA gun, which is every puppy who gets in one, you're not going to have the best experience with that.
Right. I didn't even get in one during the whole beta.
Yeah,
I never had the chance of getting a Tunguska, which is my favorite vehicle from Battlefield.
Yeah. I couldn't find one either. I was on a couple of instant respawn servers for vehicles. Could not find a single Tunguska to be had. People were just in those things constantly. I had a better chance getting into the attack heli than I had getting into a Tunguska.
Wow.
Yeah.
That might have been because people didn't bother to reset their control schemes and tried the helicopter once and immediately crashed, which is absolutely what happened to me. Like, the whole new control scheme completely threw me off.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Like,
on
I
PC the
couldn't
controls
do
are
shit.
pretty much the same. So.
Yeah, which I didn't know because I'd never flown a helicopter on PC. So every time I got into a helicopter, if you hold up or you hold W on the keyboard,
You go up.
that's your lift. But if you don't do anything with your direction keys, which are your tilts, the helicopter immediately starts going backwards, like it's back heavy somehow.
Huh.
And so I kept crashing, trying to aim with my mouse. Why isn't it working?
See, and that's how when way back when I actually did play Battlefield games on PC. Like, I would have my pitch and roll to my mouse.
Right.
With,
yeah, that's what I did.
Lift, descent, and yaw on the keys.
I mean, I really, I haven't played on PC long, but I had people or goons that I was playing with saying, "Oh, damn, you're a good pilot." I mean, just from you have to get used to the floatiness. Like, they're much more.
Right.
There's more. They carry more momentum with them. They can't stop as quickly as they could in 3.
Yeah, I noticed that myself.
which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. You just have to have more forethought in where you're and what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have any problems with piloting once I figured it out. I was able to, fly around, drop some knowledge on people in the form of missiles, and, generally do okay. It was just because I didn't... You can hear me opening a beer here. I didn't actually pay attention to the control schemes, so I just kept assuming the game was fucking up. Which I guess is what happened with a lot of people trying to hit the spot button on consoles, where they kept popping up battle log.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never... I mean, before I played PC, there was no point to battle log.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice, if you're a stats hound, it was nice.
But even then, you didn't need it for that.
Right.
You could go to BF3stats.com.
Yeah.
Or the fucking stat site.
Or the stupid fucking stat site, yeah.
Broken ass fucking stat site.
Beelzebub sucks.
Yeah. I gotta get those parting shots in, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I still owe him $10.
Yeah. My beta experience was actually pretty positive because I have a overpowered PC for pretty much everything else I've played, and the beta was really no different. I had a couple of micro stutters here and there, and a couple of slowdowns for no reason, but that was about it. And I gotta say, I came out of that thing really liking the XM25, which is what everyone came out liking.
Mm-hmm.
Which
is that the airburst grenade launcher?
It is. Oh man, that thing's it's basically a hard counter to roof snipers. If you're within range. The thing has like a 400-meter range.
Oh, wow.
So you just point it at the building and then fire it a little above that, or if you happen to be too far away, like it flies straight for the most part up to about 200 to 300 meters, and then after that it starts to drop, so you have to calculate drop in there too. So then you have to fire way above and hope that it hits. But every time you kill a sniper on a roof with one of those things, you just feel so good about yourself. Like I just did a public service not only to my team but to the other team, because that guy can't get back on the roof easily.
How far is that into the unlock chain?
You start off with it.
You start off with it, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
See, I just played engineer the entire time.
Yeah, the engineer's great too now.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe they'll push that back if it seems? I mean, did it seem overpowered? Do you think they would actually throw that
you had to have
farther back?
a degree of skill to use it.
It's not overpowered for a couple of reasons. One, it does less damage than the assault's 302. And
320.
Yeah, whatever it is. 320, smoke grenades every day. That's all I use it for.
420.
By the end of Battlefield 3, I was just using it to fire smoke grenades at people's chests.
Right.
Like, that's all it was to me. But there's a couple things that kind of limit it. One, you only get 10 rounds, and it has a 5-round magazine. And it's kind of slow to fire between shots. There's a lot of recoil, especially at distance. It doesn't always work perfectly, but I think that was more some beta bugginess than anything else. So if you stand where the building collapses over at sea and you aim at a roof, sometimes you get a lock on that roof, sometimes you don't, and it could be a matter of just stepping a little bit to the right because invisible geometry is telling you can't get a lock.
I gotcha.
But there's other things that make it a little weird. But it also travels pretty slow for the distance it has to go, so you have to calculate for that. And it really is mostly useful for distance stuff or hitting the occasional guy who's too stupid to get out of the street. When you can get those people, that's pretty good too.
Yep.
Right.
And you might have noticed this playing engineer, but the ammo packs that support starts off with, they do not refill explosives. You have to have the
Oh
big
no,
ammo
I didn't
box.
notice that.
Yeah, you have to have the big ammo box that you get with supports in Battlefield 3, which is pretty far into the unlock chain.
Yeah, 52,000 experience. I actually ended up getting it, and I mean, there's no reason to go back to the ammo packs.
No, there's no good reason for those. The only thing that can be said for them is that you can basically force teammates to take ammo, If you've ever tried to throw an ammo box down for teammates in Battlefield 3, you know that people will run away from ammo boxes if they're out of ammo, and then complain when no one threw down an ammo box for them. So, I think that's probably the only useful part of those things. But I think it's an interesting gate. But you're supposed to have a lot more stuff to unlock. So thinking that you're just going to get another but XM25 using supports with ammo packs constantly refilling their ammo is kind of far-fetched.
Yeah, support in the beta was basically useless because unless you were playing Domination, then it was pretty great. The Type 88 was a lot of fun, but I mean, it had no anti-armor capabilities at all.
Yeah.
I mean, even the 320, you can ding a tank for 20 damage.
Yeah,
But if you're a support, that XM25 doesn't do shit to a tank.
Yeah, you can pump all 5 rounds of a magazine into a tank for 11 total damage. Or, sorry, 21, if you're lucky. I did get a couple tanks killed because they were down so low with the thing, but that was about it.
But I mean, it's a waste to do it.
Yeah, it's just a waste of ammo because you're not gonna. It takes a while for that to recharge.
Yeah,
so I don't think it's gonna be overpowered.
Support's gonna have C4 in the actual game, so that's
Big question is, did you get any smoke grenade kills during the beta?
No, there weren't in there.
Oh.
Yeah. To kill a tank is only 2 bricks of C4 now.
Really?
Yeah, It used to be 3 to 4. Like reactive armor.
If they had
now.
reactive, you had to get 4 on there. Yeah.
Yeah, reactive armor
or 3.
is.
No, you had to get 3 on.
Yeah, but reactive armor itself is now changed because it doesn't just provide like a free hit. It just I think it changes the damage threshold for disables.
Right.
So even a guy with reactive does not mean that guy is going to completely stomp you. As long as he has a repair bro, he's going to get probably hit as bad as you are. So
right, you still take the same damage. It's just the threshold for disables or critical hits. So that means tanks will actually run stuff other than reactive. And let me tell you what, not having reactive in Battlefield 3, I mean, you have to play so differently.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can still shit on most people if you're good, but the thing is, if you're equally matched, you're going to lose.
Yep, definitely. It's the way the game works was kind of poorly done for tanks. But it seems like this game's kind of righting a lot of wrongs. Yeah, but I'm sure you're going to get people who disagree with that assessment of it. Most notably, people who like to pilot, because I'll say it now: the way the RPGs were handled in the beta were completely fucking broken. There's no lock-on tone when someone locks onto you with an RPG. By the way, you can lock onto somebody with an RPG, and but only if they're being cited by a support or a recon. And if you hit somebody with that lock-on RPG, they will die. It's guaranteed.
In the air. Yep.
That's broken. That's completely broken.
The transport chopper could take one, I thought.
Yeah.
But oh man, it was ridiculous. What we would do is, since the squads are 5, we'd have 1 support with an ammo box, 2 engineers, a recon to spot things, and then an assault to revive anybody who might go down or to have health down. And we would just hold a rooftop and keep their air pin down the entire match and their armor dead.
Yeah, I mean, it was completely broken. I'm glad to see that RPGs will not lock on in the full game.
I mean, they're already so much faster. It's way easier. They have a different arc now, but it's way easier to hit choppers and things like that. I've got so many unguided hits on choppers just because they're
I actually managed to get one as well, and I never get those in Battlefield 3.
That's the best feeling in Battlefield.
Yeah. I definitely knocked a couple down myself, and I was impressed with me. When you miss them, like in Battlefield 3, in Battlefield 3, when you missed a helicopter hit with an RPG, you're like, well, I expected it. In this game, in the beta, when you missed one with an RPG, you're like, come on, that was so goddamn close. So, a little different, I agree. But I don't know.
No, RPG logons were dumb. Stingers, I believe, are going to be upgraded to 3-hit kills, and when they hit, they cause a critical hit, and the vehicle gets disabled, which basically means you're going to be screwed unless you're in a little bird and you got people actively repairing you.
You know what I found a lot in the beta, talking about disables? Because of the way those worked, I had a lot of situations where I'd hit somebody with an RPG and they'd get disabled. I'd run up to go finish them off with the repair tool. They'd fucking hop out. I'm like, hey, I'm repairing this vehicle. I'm going to steal it. And then that disable mechanic actually applies to anyone who gets into that vehicle for that time. So that meant the second I got in, I was disabled, and the guy who I had just taken out was now destroying my tank. So it was almost not even worth getting into the tanks anymore.
Well, I mean, a lot of people will bail on tanks that are disabled, I think, because they think that it's going to burn down like it did Battlefield 3.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of tanks like that. I mean, stole them. Because puppies are puppies.
Yeah, exactly. So, getting away from Battlefield 4 chat for a moment, do we want to talk about the Great American Beer Fest, Three Toes?
Sure.
Yes. I want to hear about
it.
So
I
fuck the listeners who don't.
What listeners?
All two of them.
There's 41. 41.
41.
Hold on.
39 of those were me listening to my intro song.
Hey, listen, 43 right now, and yeah, YouTube's still got that stupid monitoring for review thing going on with it. But anyways.
But yeah, I had some good friends of mine move out to Denver a few months ago, and I'd been looking for a good excuse to go visit. And they're like, well, hey, why don't you come, second week in October is the Great American Beer Fest. And so went out there. First of all, Denver was great. Like, I'd never been out to Colorado. It's a really cool city. Big city, but like not overwhelming. Like, everything's pretty compact. Like, we were able to walk or ride bikes pretty much anywhere we needed to go, and they've got some pretty great like public transportation, and spent some time up in Breckenridge and Boulder, and went to a whole bunch of breweries. Like, you want to talk about a beer town, like Denver. Like, there are breweries everywhere.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Like, we went to 4, and still there's like 3 or 4 others that I wanted to go to. We just didn't have time. But anyway, Great American Beer Fest is, I mean, it has to be like the biggest beer festival in the world in terms of like different breweries bringing their beer, and it's also a competition. Like, they bring their best beer to get judged in different categories and win medals. They take it back home and use it to promote their beer. 580 different breweries, 3,100 different beers, and yeah. And so there's 4 sessions. There was a Thursday night, Friday night, a Saturday afternoon, which you can only get tickets to if you were a member of the American Homebrewers Association, and a Saturday night. And obviously, like, the Saturday afternoon's a lot fewer people. You get an actual glass tasting cup rather than like a Lexan plastic one or whatever that we got. But it was great. It's pretty overwhelming if you don't get some guidance, because chances are you've never heard of the vast majority of these breweries, but you don't know if they're going to have some great beer. And so we were lucky that a friend of ours was he writes for a local newspaper in the food and bev column, and he's real big on craft beer, so he kind of gave us some guidance. Told us what was super rare that we absolutely had to try. Some good breweries to check out, but maybe we're a little lower down the priority list. And yeah, it was great. I managed to get 25 tastings. Nothing bad at all. Obviously some were better than others. Any kind of style of beer you can think of, they had it there. One thing that pissed me off was that Sam Adams brought Utopias, which, if you don't know, is a beer that they brew that's $300 a bottle. Comes in like these copper bottles, and it's 27% alcohol by volume.
Whew.
So it's liquor.
It's brewed like beer, but yeah, it's more like a bourbon in terms of like tasting it and consistency. But yeah, it's a beer, but it's also basically the consistency of a spirit.
Ooh, yeah.
Thing is though, with the super rare beers, a lot of them were time release for the event, so they weren't available right off the bat. They'd be, breweries be like, oh, well, we're tapping that keg at this time, so come back.
Yeah.
Sam Adams would not tell anyone what time they were pouring Utopias.
Really?
Yeah, so I can kind of understand not like posting the time, but if somebody comes up and asks, I figure that they should like tell you. Yeah, so the only way you get to try it is either A, sheer dumb luck, or B, you hang out or check it back at their tent all night, which we weren't going to do. Like, there's too many other great beers that we need to go try. So I go back like an hour and a half later. I was like, oh, what time are y'all pouring Utopia? So, have you poured it yet? And he's like, oh yeah, we just got done pouring it. We only brought a few bottles. It's all gone.
Oh.
Like just so nonchalant, and then tried to sell me on some of their. Oh well, have you tried this yet? Blah blah. I was like, dude, no. I wanted a glass of a $300 beer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're not gonna get me to try Boston Lager after that. Sorry.
No, yeah. Well, I'm actually drinking on Oktoberfest now, so yeah.
I do like Sam Oktoberfest. I will give them that. And I mean, Boston Lager's not bad. None of their beer's bad, but I mean.
Yeah, it's not what you're there
I'm never going to get a bottle of Utopias, so that was kind of like one of my only chances to ever try it.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'd be pissed too.
Yeah. One of the more interesting ones I had was a brewery in Denver called Wynkoop. Had a Rocky Mountain Oyster Stout.
Right. You mentioned this before.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with oyster stouts because we've got a few breweries down here in Charleston that do a lot of oyster stouts because we've got a plethora of oysters around the area. And so for those of you who don't know what Rocky Mountain oysters are, they're bull testicles. So this was a stout with roasted bull testicles brewed right into it.
Oh yeah.
And sure enough, as the guy was pouring the samples, he asked us, "Do you like balls in your mouth?" So we had to tell him yes before he would give us the samples.
Oh. God damn. That's dickish.
I mean, you couldn't taste it at all. It was a stout, so obviously, the typical, malty, chocolatey flavors of a stout came through. And I mean, I don't know what Rocky Mountain oysters taste like anyway. I've never had them. So
I just like the image of this guy just like gating everybody for the rest of the day with, "Do you like balls in your mouth?" No matter what.
I just want to know how he got my dream job.
Asking people if they have balls in their mouth or tasting beer with balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir. How do you feel about having balls in your mouth?
Oh, God.
But no, I mean, it was great. I mean, we had great jalapeno beer that was really, really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, the food was really good too. They literally had like 13-inch kielbasa sausages for sale.
Nice.
That were, so yeah, it went perfectly with the balls in my mouth, a gigantic sausage.
Yeah, hey.
So,
you gotta keep everything pretty consistent. It's like, anything phallic you can sell me? Because I got balls in my mouth.
And actually, I'm gonna surprise the shit out of both of you guys. While I was in Denver, I played a new PC game.
Oh no. Did it feel like you'd elevated to a new plane of existence? Oh, I'm no longer a console scrub. Like, for 2 seconds.
Not really, because I was using a controller to play it.
Oh.
What'd you play?
But okay, so a buddy of mine that went to go visit, he works out of the home, and he's still kind of on an East Coast schedule, so he's done by like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So in the mornings, we're just kind of hanging out at his place, and he's got a Steam account and everything, and I know the game's not new, but new to me. Have either of you ever played Spelunky?
Yeah. Well, I played the free version.
No, I never played it.
It's a really, really fun platformer, and like pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, and it's an incredibly deep game. There's so many different ways you can play it. Um, it's you get one life, and it's really difficult to get more health, and tons of hidden items and secrets to the game, and just a really, really hard platformer. And I'm kind of a sucker for kind of old school platformers like that.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend checking it out.
I'm gonna fucking blow your mind. That game totally came out on the Xbox and PS3 already.
Yeah, I did know that. I did know that, but
right.
everyone tells me that kind of the PC version is kind of gone off the charts. I know there's a ton of Let's Plays on it. They do like a daily challenge with like, leaderboards like over the internet to see, who can do the fastest runs with the biggest score and that sort of thing. I also played Gunpoint, which I know is not very new either. And I really enjoyed Gunpoint too.
Now, I actually saw that a bunch, but I never touched it. You want to explain what that was?
Yeah, it's kind of a side scroll puzzle action game. You play a spy for hire, and you've got kind of a couple of different intertwining stories in the game, and it's really, really low res, pixelated, which still really fun, really nice style to it. You just have to break into all these different buildings and acquire all this data or hack computers, blah blah blah, and you have all these different tools you can use to rewire the circuitry of the building to where if you get in on the first floor and it shows you it's all 2D, so you can see a side cut of the entire building. You can see what's on each floor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on the bottom floor and you see that a guard on the next floor is standing next to a power outlet, you can break out your little crosswire tool and rewire this light switch that you're standing next to that power outlet, so that when you flip the light switch, it shocks and incapacitates the guard in the floor above you.
Huh.
So it's just a whole lot of little puzzles like that. Really fun, but I did beat it in a day.
Yeah.
And not even a long day. And again, I don't know how much the game costs. It was really fun, but it's pretty short.
I want to say $10. I think when I saw it.
I'd say it's a good
I think
buy.
that's less than what Gone Home was, and Gone Home is basically interactive fiction. So
Right.
I heard good and bad things about it. If it wasn't $20, I probably would have picked it up. It looked really interesting.
Yeah, it's not a horror game. It's more of like, here's your family, and they've left a bunch of journals out that you read. I've seen some stuff on it, and it's just it looks like a really interesting concept, and you got to give it to somebody who can come up with an interesting concept where you're just walking through your family's house in 1990 when Nirvana was still a thing, and you obviously thought that was a good idea. And I'm going to come out and say, because of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff that's come out over the last week, with Nirvana being on the list, I fucking hate Nirvana. I forgot how much I hate Nirvana. It's a lot.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Especially when they're up against NWA for a spot in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Of course I'm going to have to go with NWA over Nirvana. But
Dude,
anyways,
that's not even a contest.
No, it isn't.
Oh my god, you two could not be more wrong.
Oh,
Get out.
No,
yeah.
not
You probably want
about
Kiss
no
to
no
get
no
it.
no 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 no. Not about the competition between them or NWA, but no, like I love like early Nirvana. Is really 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 cool sound. Like no one sounded like them.
Like
Okay,
bleach
first
stuff.
did
and
or-
I can admit that. Yes, they changed a whole lot of shit, but God, I
Not
just
for the
don't
better.
like the fucking music, man.
They changed a bunch of stuff, but it sounded worse.
Well, no, because they led to a lot of good things. Without Nirvana, you wouldn't have had Foo Fighters.
I guess,
And
yeah.
Kurt Cobain offing himself was the best thing to ever happen to Dave Grohl.
No one's going to deny that, oddly enough. But if you listen to, like, Dave Grohl's accounts of Nirvana, and where Kurt Cobain was such a shitty guitarist that Dave Grohl would have to get out behind the drum kit and finish off his solos for him. Like, that's not a good thing to think about, right?
Well, dude, the same fucking thing happened with the Beatles. Like, Paul and John played a lot of studio drum tracks where Ringo was not present.
Yeah, but you don't really need Ringo for the Beatles.
Well, nah, that's debatable. Like, he's not the most technically sound drummer in the world or technically flashy drummer in the world, but he doesn't get as much credit as he probably should. Because, I mean, they did do some kind of complicated rhythms if you get down into the later years, like the concept albums.
Okay. Actually, this reminds me, because we're talking about drummers, I was watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction from last year when I was in Alabama, Roll Tide, and
Roll Tide!
Roll Tide. And like, it was on HBO for whatever the fuck reason. HBO has so little programming that they had to put that on. And there were two things that struck me. One was that Alex Lifeson is so useless to the fucking band Rush that his entire acceptance speech for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was him saying blah 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 over and over like he was having a conversation. And the other two members, Geddy Lee and Neil Peart, who were actually useful, were looking at him like he was fucking losing his mind or having a stroke or something. Like, laughing because they had nothing better to do at that moment in time. The other thing was that Run DMC, I think, got inducted that year. I missed that part of it. And, you know, at the end of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, where they have all the surviving members of the bands and groups and everything that were inducted, they do one big set. Run DMC was regulated to chanting "The blues gave birth to rock and roll" a bunch of times, and then running around stage while everyone else was playing the song. Like, that's no joke. And I'm like, oh my god, this looks really bad. We couldn't find a spot for these two guys, so we just had them yell this one chant. Holy shit. So, I hope they find something for NWA to do. That'll be great. Figure out how Eazy-E comes back from the grave for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
MC Ren's still around, isn't he?
Yeah, but, well, if Ice Cube's No Vaseline is any indication of what's happened to MC Ren, he used to have an AK, but now he lives in a white neighborhood. Just, I want you to think about diss tracks from the 90s, and remember at one point NWA, who not only was Ice Cube their frontman, he was also the main lyric writer for the entire band. When he left the band after Straight Outta Compton, the NWA's next album had a diss track against Ice Cube, and his response to that was No Vaseline, which is one of the harshest fucking diss tracks in all of rap history.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
That was not a good breakup between those two.
But like, you don't go, well, he's our main lyricist, so let's diss him. Not a good idea. You can't come up with something against that. Not early.
Yeah, and then Eazy-E tried to screw over Dr. Dre, so they started a beef as well.
Yeah, rap beefs. I feel like this should be a college level course. Intro to rap beefs.
Well, you see,
90s
Nas
gangsta
started
rap.
everything back in
A
1999.
retrospective.
Oh, God.
Nas and Jay-Z, the dumbest idea anyone ever had. Actually, no, sorry. 50 Cent versus Kanye West. That was the dumbest rap beef to ever exist. Because 50 Cent, if you remember, when Kanye's second album was coming out, said that he was going to, if his album was coming out at the same time, said that if Kanye's album outsold 50 Cent's album, that 50 was going to stop doing solo records. And Kanye West's album fucking destroyed 50 Cent. 50 Cent barely charted, and Kanye West was on top by like a couple thousand units over the next person. That was back when you could sell 1,000 records. So think about that. So now that we've detoured into rap battles and feuds, I don't really know where we want want to go with this. I was going to say that I've actually started. Want to talk about games we've been playing? I actually started playing Arkham City again for a Let's Play. And
Yeah, I saw that posted. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
it's only one episode deep. It's not like you're going to miss a ton. I mean, the one thing
I must watch everything as soon as it's posted.
I will lose my mind.
It goes stale.
Yeah. But
I don't want to miss the bus.
Yeah. I'm going to be commenting on the first video. Everyone's commenting on the third video. It's going to be wrong. Actually, I'll let you into the dark side of YouTube. There's a video in my history called The Times Beach Tragedy, where I spoke about a guy who basically took Agent Orange and spread it on dirt roads to keep the dust level down, but he didn't know it was Agent Orange. And he basically poisoned the water in this town. And people to this day comment on that video asking what the fuck is happening. They don't understand like the concept I was going with there or anything like that. And it's like, I lived in Times Beach. Let's talk about this. Why? Why the fuck do you want to talk about this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. YouTube is fucking weird. People will find your shit and think that you care about their comments. It's weird.
Heavy as the crown. Your YouTube superstardom.
It's very strange to me to have that happen over and over again, where people like all my old Let's Plays, the other ones I've done, the Black Ops 2 and stuff like that. I will occasionally just get like 12 emails in a row, and it's some guy who's watched every one of the videos and commented on every one of the videos as he went.
Jeez,
it's weird.
Yeah, I've got kind of like a personal rule. If I'm looking at a video and I see that the latest comment is more than like a month or two old, I won't comment. I feel like I'm bringing something back from the dead.
Yeah, sometimes it's interesting. You'll see stuff that like it's a year or two old and people are still commenting on it, which you know, still comment. Go ahead and comment and say what you want. But when you look at a video and it's like a year and a half old and no one said anything on it since then, you might want to just hold back, because there's like a 99% chance I won't remember that fucking video. So if you're listening to this and considering commenting on all my previous videos, please fucking don't.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and it's 2014 where you are, we don't want to hear it.
Where else are they gonna
we just don't care.
If the world ended, please let us know.
We should put an expiration date on the video.
Yeah.
Please comment by.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
please enjoy by.
Yeah, it doesn't expire, but you should really enjoy it before this time. But I jumped back into Arkham City, and I'm about an hour in, and I gotta say, I forgot how much fun that game is just to get into combat. Like, I didn't want to play Origins, the game that's coming out 2 days after Battlefield 4, so I will never play that game. I had no desire to play Origins because I feel like Arkham City kind of hit everything it needed to hit, but I forgot how much fun watching the combat in that game is. Like,
it really is.
Batman picking a man up by his legs and then swinging him into two other people and then throwing him like 12 feet. How great is that? Like, who doesn't want to see that shit?
Now that game's like somewhat sandboxy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, sorry, Arnold.
Kind of like a guided sandbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's a small but dense city that they give you. You can get across it once you get the mobility boosts, the grapple boost, and the ability to like just basically boost off of grappling onto stuff. You'll be able to cross it in a matter of minutes, if not seconds, if you know exactly where you're going. So it's never hard to get from one end of the city to the other. But if you walk around on street level, you'll get into a lot of fights. You'll see a lot of things you wouldn't normally get to see. There's a lot of side quests. And I'm remembering this, I think, correctly now, 400 Riddler trophies to grab.
I fucking hate collectibles. Jesus fuck.
Yeah, I actually stipulated in.
What's the matter, bro?
Unnumbered
you don't like the
collectibles are
Chivos?
the worst.
Yeah, I stipulated in the LPs, the OP for the LP. Jesus, going to use a lot of P's in this sentence, and I made a point that I'm not going to go collect those trophies. And then almost immediately, this other person came in and said, "I will do this for you." Oh, thank you, thank you, God. I didn't want to have to do this. Someone else is going to take this bullet for me. So, but
I mean, what do you know what you even get for collecting them all?
you get these special sequences with the Riddler and some people he's captured and shit. I don't know, fuck it.
Right.
If you collect them all, somebody comes out and is like, "You have OCD," and it's fantastic. I knew there was a test for this.
I really
Spurg
like
for the Spurg Lord.
Spurg for the Spurg God.
Pretty much.
No, I really like the missions where you had to find a phone.
Oh, the Zaz missions, yeah.
Yeah. Those were... I liked them. I mean, it was interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like they did a really good job of putting in a lot of side quests into the game. So you go to this person. I'm still actively Let's Playing this, so there's a chance some of those people may bleed over into this thing. But anyways, you pick up the phone. There's a Zaz mission. You have to go investigate this thing. You have to go find these things for this other guy. You have to do a couple different side missions in the game. Those are all going to be shown off in the Let's Play. But they did a really good job of making a world you actually wanted to travel through. They did a really good job of making a world that was interesting to look at. The game is just really well made overall.
I mean, it looked great on 360 when I played it.
It looks amazing until you boost it to 1080p. Do not fucking boost that game to 1080p. It looks like shit.
Really?
Yeah, well, go watch the video that's in the thread, but the next one will probably be a little worse. Remember how the Xbox 360 doesn't actually output in HD at all? It outputs in HD, but it's actually a boosted up version of like a 360p or something like that. Like it's not actually HD at all. It's just upscaled, right? So when you bring that to 1080p, you get a lot of jagged edges, you get a lot of weird artifacting, and you get some weird texturing. It's kind of distracting, and I almost bought the... If you're interested in playing the game, it's on Steam sale as of this afternoon for like $8 with all the DLC. So I would suggest getting it that version because someone told me they actually took Games for Windows Live out of it. So probably the way to go if you want to play it. But yeah, like it doesn't look as great as you'd think if you boost it to 1080p. So keep it to about 720. You should be okay. And that's the tech spec corner for the week. Next week we'll be talking about Arnold's PC. Yeah, but it reminds me of how fun that game was, and just I know exactly how that story plays out. I know exactly where it goes, and I'm still excited to play through that game again. So
nice.
This should be pretty fun for me.
In other news,
it was a great game, and I remember really, really enjoying it. I mean, if you haven't played it, definitely pick it up.
Yeah. So, Three Toes, you have...
Yeah, I was going to say in other news, in my absence in Denver, Grand Theft Auto Online appears to have gotten its shit together. It is actually playable now. You can actually connect. You can actually get into an instance world, and you can actually do stuff. So it's pretty fun. I mean, it's a lot of people. It's kind of like Red Dead. It's a lot of people just run around blatantly trying to kill each other. But when you enter into a mission, you can go through it, do the missions by yourself, or do it with other people, do it with friends. You leave the instance and go into a mission instance, so you don't have to worry about randoms just trying to screw you over. Granted, your own people you're doing the mission with may try and screw you over, but
right.
And it's the only thing annoying that I've experienced so far, just because I'm still pretty relatively low level since I only took a week off, but people are already well past level 50, and
Jesus.
I'm at 9.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's every time, and money. Money's how you get everything. How you buy a garage, how you buy an apartment, and yes, you can just hang out in your apartment or your friend's apartment, go up and smoke weed or drink beer or wine or liquor or whatnot. It's pretty ridiculous, but things are very, very expensive. Like just for a 2-car garage, it's I don't know, something like 40 grand. And
Holy shit.
when you're a low level, the missions you get don't pay much at all. And if you die, it costs you $2,000. So, and if you're not smart enough to, deposit your money in the bank as soon as you earn it, like you can just get robbed by anyone who comes by and just kills you and takes all your money. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I heard one of the big things people had with that is that you're basically always going to have that stupid Walkon targeting. So if you try to, say, shoot a guy or run at a guy with a car, he'll just lock on you and fire and win the game.
Oh yeah, he'll shoot you right out of the driver's seat. No problem at all.
That was actually the impetus for me not playing Grand Theft Auto 4 anymore. Was I got into a game with people who will go unnamed, who I still have animosity towards 5 years on, and 7 years on, and you'll have this situation where they insisted on having lock on, and so you'd have people it was in the protect the boss mode, and you could lock on to people in the other car while you were in the car. So whoever got the lock on first won the boss, kill the boss mode, because all they had to do was lock on to the boss and fire. Not very hard.
Tell me more about these lock-on weapons you're speaking of.
Yeah, we'll know about them in 6 months, Arnold. Don't worry about it.
But I mean, yeah, it's still been enjoyable, even with the lock-on fest. I think they kind of decreased the range for it a little bit. Like you have to be relatively close to have your gun kind of lock on them. But I mean, it's got some pretty fun aspects. I mean, you can, if you've got a really nice car, but you still really don't give a shit about it, you can get it wired up with an ignition bomb, so you can just leave it parked on the street and wait for a puppy to come up and try and steal your car and just watch it explode as he tries to get away in it.
Oh God, yes, please. That's great.
I mean, it's pretty much just the epitome of a fuck around sandbox multiplayer game. I just wish you could add more people to it.
Yeah, well, there were rumors that it was going to go to 32 players before launch, but I guess that's not true, huh?
I guess not. I mean, it's all I've seen is 16.
Oof.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a console.
Well, considering it's still the entire map, as it is in single player,
yeah,
that's not too bad. Like it is massive.
Yeah.
Like you can, if you know where to go, I mean, you could never see another player in game because you're just stuck. You're in this massive world. I mean, luckily it shows you. Well, luckily and unluckily, it shows you where everyone is on the mini map, or when you pull up the big map, it'll show you like their little white dot and show you what direction they're facing and where they're going, so you can see how they're moving in real time the entire time.
Jeez.
Of course, I mean it was the same way in Red Dead Redemption. So.
Yeah. The difference was Red Dead was completely fucking ridiculous at times. Like, you could go pick up a fucking explostive flintlock.
Oh yeah,
or whatever it was. Yeah,
the explosive rifle. Yeah.
And just fuck around for a couple hours if you felt like it. It feels like they kind of scaled down a little bit almost with this game versus Red Dead in terms of kind of what the free roam was, because I mean it sounds like they just said, okay, it's player versus player, you can jump into a mission from free roam, which was all Red Dead stuff, but it feels like there's less to do when you talk about free roam, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm
not really. I mean, there's there's still a lot of. I mean, obviously you can jump in and out of races, and for some reason there's arm wrestling matches and darts
over the top
and all that shit.
That seems to be a Rockstar trademark, having weird mini games.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to
absolutely.
Red Dead, you have like what's that thing where you're stabbing your fingers and shit?
Oh yeah, the Scandinavian or they call it 5-finger fillet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scandinavian roulette. But I mean, you can ride around and hold up liquor stores to earn extra money, and that has nothing to do with other players. Granted, a lot of people, if they see you go into one of those stores, they'll kind of camp out and wait for you to come back out and shoot you and take the money you just stole. So, I mean, there is a ton of stuff, to do. I mean, you've still got this massive world to explore, and all the NPC, characters are there, just random NPCs walking down the street that you can hassle.
Right.
So it's kind of like you're just screwing around in the single player, but you've got all these other people, 15 other people doing the same thing in your instance. So, and you can turn on, I think it charges you like $100 to turn on passive mode to where no one can kill you. But Drekken showed me, of course Drekken knows the way around that, and showed me that this afternoon to where you can't shoot them, but if you hit them with a car enough times, they'll still die. So I was sitting on top of this building and just watching him, because when you knock someone over, it takes them a few seconds to get back up.
Right.
Him just backing over someone, just constantly like back and forth, running him over. It took like 10 passes before the guy finally died of Drekken's just griefing this kid, running him over constantly. And also, apparently, if you're in passive mode and you get in a car, the car is vulnerable. So all they'd have to do is blow up the car to kill you. So there's a few holes in their whole passive mode thing.
Massive oversights in a Rockstar game. Who would have thought?
And probably the most fucked up thing I've seen in the game is when you kill yourself, like choose to commit suicide, if you want to like lose your wanted level, and that only costs you $500 instead of the $2,000, I think. And like, yeah, just sure enough, whatever your weapon holding, your guy just puts it under his chin and just pulls the trigger.
Jesus.
So Drekken's told me he found some NPC like coming out of a shop or something, and he walked up to him. And of course, in that game, you're so suspicious. You think everyone's out to kill you. So Drekken just walks up right in front of the guy and just offs himself right in front of the guy. So we've been talking about the possibility of getting like a crew of like 5 or 6 people, finding like one person, and all of us just walking up to him and surrounding him, and just everyone just killing themselves. Just drink the Kool-Aid and Jonestown it right in front of him.
Oh, God damn! I kind of want to see that now. It sounds amazing. Yeah, the emergent gameplay and such that you get out of something like that, where it's a bunch of assholes in a city trying to do whatever the fuck it is you do in a Grand Theft Auto game.
Yeah, well, and the thing is as buggy as it can be, Grand Theft Auto is one of those games where the bugs are pretty amusing. Yeah. I ran into one today to where I drove my car into the ocean and got out, but instead of initiating the swimming sequence, it was like I was just walking, on the land. So I sank right to the bottom of the ocean, never ran out of oxygen, and was just walking around on the bottom of the ocean the entire time.
I hate to bring the conversation away, but speaking of bugs and glitches and shit, have you guys heard of or seen this guy Swordless Link, who, if you just look for it, all one word, Swordless Link on YouTube, his profile comes up. He does like glitch runs of Nintendo 64 games, and he started Zelda 64 Ocarina of Time a couple weeks ago, and it is fucking ridiculous. He's playing the game backwards to forwards, so he's starting with the last temple and finishing with the Deku Tree. Like, absolutely backwards.
Weird.
Every one of the every one of the dungeons he does as Adult Link. Think about that. There are 2 that you cannot get into as Adult Link, but he got into them. There's one that you need the boomerang for, which you can't use as Adult Link, but he found a way to use it. He didn't get an ocarina until video 9, at which point he had done, I think, 10 out of the 11 temples in the game? 8 of the 10 temples in the game.
Jeez.
Think about that shit. If you've played Ocarina of Time, you know exactly how much of a fucking commitment that ocarina is. That thing is on there every second of every day.
Yeah.
So I suggest going to watch that, because if you've played Ocarina of Time and you're watching that, you'll be like, holy fuck, that game is broken as shit. How did I not realize that when I was a kid? So we've actually kind of run out of time without being funny at all during the entire time. But Three Toes' comments on the American Beer Fest reminded me to get my Wine Fest tickets. So that's what I did with my last hour.
Jesus Christ.
Wine Fest.
Wine Fest. Beer Fest upstairs.
Does it come with a free tampon?
Check your privilege.
Check. No, it's great. They do it at the one of the casino that's 2 minutes down the road from me, because I live in Connecticut. So now you can probably find me. But they do it every year. I've been 4 times now, so 5 times this winter. And you just go in there. They give you a giant glass of wine. They tell you not to go to the Wines That Rock table. By the way, never buy a wine that rocks, because you'll basically drink the Pink Floyd wine and tell the person that the wine is as good as the band. And the guy will be like, hey, that's a good compliment, man. And then your fiance will look at you and say, you hate Pink Floyd. And I say, I know. But that's kind of besides the point. Wow, I'm just generating
I have no idea what you just said.
I'm generating music controversy left and right here tonight. So anyways, but you just go around, you get a bunch of drinks, then you go upstairs, which is Beer Fest, which is great too. And last year I stole a bottle of wine, 2 bottles of Smirnoff Ice, and one other thing. Oh, bottle of Double Bag by Long Trail. So I got away with pretty good stuff.
Why would you steal Smirnoff Ice?
Yeah, they just leave that stuff out on the tables and they turn around and you're just like,
yeah, but why would you take it?
Yeah, it's in the bag now. So
I actually don't drink beer.
Get out.
I'm
You're not allowed
sorry.
the podcast.
I've had shit beer. I've had great beer. I've had ales and lagers, and I just can't fucking do it.
What do you drink?
It's like busted up soda. Just like the fucking. I just don't like it. I'm sorry.
What do you drink, Arnold? Do you not drink, you pussy?
No.
I'm gonna peer pressure you
I
to
drink
drinking.
only the finest rums and bourbons. No, honestly, I like rum, bourbon,
Crow?
scotch, gin if I'm already fucked up. But rum's a standby.
I'm actually a big fan of cognac.
I've never had it.
Oh.
It's good. It's essentially wine, but
Fortified wine, yes.
Different thing.
yeah, Manischewitz is the best cognac out there.
Arnold went blind drinking fortified wine this week. He thought it was cognac. He didn't quite know the difference.
Mad Dog's a good cognac, isn't it?
Yeah. Mad Dog's a real thing. It's decent for you. God, Mad Dog 2020, everybody. Drink some of that shit.
Yeah.
Wow, that's going back. I had a friend who actually once drank Night Train wine, and his immediate reaction to it was, I want to get off this train. So either he made that up after the fact, or he is really quick on his feet while drunk.
That's brilliant.
And I don't believe he's quick on his feet when he's drunk, because I've never seen him drunk, so I don't know. But Winefest is fun. I suggest if you are in the Connecticut area, you go to that. It's expensive as shit, but you get your money's worth. One year I bought 2-day tickets because it's a Saturday and Sunday event, and we got maybe like 4 minutes into day 2, and we were so hungover from day 1 still that we had Johnny Rockets and just left. It's like, well, that's $180 I'll never see again.
Jeez.
But
And see, that's the thing. Like Great American Beer Fest is, if you can actually get a ticket on the first go round, it's not too bad. It's like $75 a session, which really isn't too bad considering what all they have there. Unlimited tastings and everything. But it usually sells out within a few hours. So I had to buy mine, and they go on sale in July, and I had no idea I was going to Denver at that time when they went on sale. So I had to pay. I paid like $120, and that was a pretty good price for a secondhand ticket.
yeah,
Usually they'll easily get up to double face value pretty quickly.
yeah, that's the danger on those things.
Yeah.
So did you see John Elway's car dealership while you were there?
I didn't.
Have you heard that story?
No.
So when John Elway was playing for the Broncos, like 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
No. I just like
30.
to talk about John Elway's incredibly long career with the Broncos. We retired in 1998 or 1999.
No idea.
After he won the second Super Bowl in a row. No, wait. Packers lost the second. Whatever. Anyways, John Elway, when he owned a car dealership in Denver, and he might still, but the way he actually sold cars and became a really popular dealer in Denver was that if you sold a car, he would show up and shake your hand personally. So he basically leveraged his fame and was just like, "Yep, I'm a car dealer now. Meet John Elway, shake my hand, buy a car." So that's why he has all the money at this point in time.
Well, no, isn't he like CEO of the Broncos or something?
It's like president of football operations or something like that.
Yeah.
He was the guy who's like, "I want Peyton Manning," and that turned out to be a really good idea. Actually, sorry. He's brilliant because he said, "Not only do I want Peyton Manning, I want to get rid of Tim Tebow." And that, man, that looks like a really smart idea right about now.
Poor Tim Tebow.
Well, I mean, Tebow, he was a game manager, man. He's no Peyton Manning.
God.
What they expect him
when
to
you
be
get
an
Peyton
athlete?
Manning,
Come on.
you get an offensive coordinator as well as a quarterback. I mean, what I want to know, I mean, I can understand what the Colts did. He had a couple rough years, and
That whole neck thing.
Yeah, the whole neck thing, not being sure of him coming back, and Andrew Luck was going to be available. I mean, I get it, but I remember reading something like the president of the Colts or something was talking shit about Peyton Manning, and I'm like, dude, why the fuck would you do that?
Because Jim Irsay doesn't have any sense.
Yeah,
I like. Now we're going to get into football chat when I was trying to end the conversation.
We can cut it.
Yeah, but let's get into this further. Fucking Peyton Manning tearing shit up this year, but someone, Peter King of Monday Morning Quarterback, pointed out that Andrew Luck actually has better 2-year totals than Peyton Manning at this point. Like when Peyton Manning was 2 years into the league, he had pretty good numbers, but he had less than Andrew Luck numbers. And to that point, I would like to say that Peyton Manning also had no fucking team behind him for the first 2 or 3 years he was in the league.
Yeah, that's because Andrew Luck now has the offense that was built around Peyton Manning.
Right. Of course, Dan Orlovsky, my alma mater's quarterback, could not do anything with that offense. But that's probably because he's Dan Orlovsky. Ain't no one gonna get angry at me talking about Dan Orlovsky. I mean, that guy was useless. Okay, now that we've talked about football in addition to video games and beer, I think we've hit all 3 things we need to bring back the man show. So enjoy girls jumping on trampolines for the next 30 seconds as the credits roll. I'm Doug Stanhope.
I
You know
call
what?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Next week we should really drink heavily before we do the podcast and see how that goes.
Before? I was drinking heavily during. Do you want me to bring the bottle of Wild Turkey up here, or do you need me to just like verification, or just want to hear it? I don't know.
I want to hear the bourbon pouring into the glass.
Yeah, that's a thing. I used to have this giant like 12-ounce thing of like just a 12-ounce glass basically that I would keep around simply for pouring bourbon into, and I was drinking like fucking Old Crow at that point. So I can handle this. Don't start saying get pre-drunk for podcasts, because this will happen.
Actually, I think it could only enhance the podcast, really. Or maybe that could be our gimmick.
Podcaster Lazy Fire was found dead this morning due to alcohol poisoning.
Getting drunk and talking about video games, the podcast.
It's too late to rename it now.
I fucking hate all this shit. This shit's it's bad.
You guys should see this thing I did online. I was telling them how to make better games. They didn't listen to. Hi, cat.
How are you doing, Kenny?
Hello, dear. Oh, you're okay. Bye, bye. Good night. Bye. It's 2 in the morning, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Time to wrap this bitch up.
Yeah. I didn't even get to talk about DJ Keemstar, and I'm kind of sad. That's next week.
Yeah. Oh, we can hate on him anytime.
I just, like, for whatever reason, this came up this week. I was like, oh yeah, I fucking hate DJ Keemstar, like, a lot. And then I looked, and he's lost, like, 4 more channels than the last time I looked for him. So, I kind of want to talk about that motherfucker. But, anyways, I've been Lazy Fire. I was joined by Arnold and Three Toes, as per usual. And this was the Hate the Player podcast. I don't know if my co-host would like to say anything.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I hate my life.
Every week. So, let's...
Oh, and Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Oh, fuck. God damn it. Fuck.